Hi everybody, so today we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations by factoring, and check it out right there, major spelling error. Quadratic equations by factoring. So the first thing that I want you to do, you've got your notes in front of you and you have this, and I want you to just pause it right now and go over and open up another window with Desmos. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I want you to take this first number 1 here that says x squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0. And what I want you to do, I want you to go over to Desmos and I want you to pause this and just type in x squared plus 4x plus 3. Don't worry about the equals 0 part. I want you to go over and I want you to graph that, and then I want you to copy it onto your paper, and then I want you to come back. So I have popped over to Desmos and here's what I see. I did the x squared plus 4x plus 3, and there are some important points. I've got my vertex at -2, -1, which means my axis of symmetry is at x equals -2. And then I've got two zeros here at -1, 0 and -3, 0. Then over here's another point, but really the 0, 3 isn't hugely important to me. What I want on your graph is this point right here, the vertex, and the two zeros. Those are the most important things. So if you haven't already graphed that, go back and do it now. Alright, so I have graphed these points. Now I'm going to kind of draw my parabola right there. And then I'm going to draw the other side of my parabola right there. Now that is not perfect, but basically these are my 3 important points. Next time I'll draw with my finger, not my mouse. So I want you to look at these 2 points. Remember that when we're trying to find what the zeros are, or the solutions, they're where the parabola crosses this. So do you see that that happens at -1? And it happens at 3. So I'm going to hop down here and I want you to write down in the solutions box that the solutions are -1 and -3. So x equals -1 and -3. Right, now we're going to do something a little bit different. We found the answers graphically, but now I want you to come back up to here, and I would like you to factor this. So x squared plus 4x plus 3. So I'm going to draw those out, and I know that x squared, so that's x and x. Then what multiplies to give me 3? 1 and 3. Awesome. So that means I have x plus 1, and I have x plus 3 all equal to 0. So as I have this, look at this right here, x plus 1. And amazingly, there's a solution at -1. X plus 3, amazingly, there's a solution at 3. There might be a pattern there. I'm not going to tell you yet, but see if you can find it. Now, come over to this one, number 2. I'd like you to pause the video, go over and graph x squared plus 11x plus 24. So here I am, I have graphed it, and I want you to find just 3 nice points. So find the vertex for me. So the vertex, ooh, that's gross, -5.5 and -6 1/4. But then really, do you see the 2 zeros right away? I see one at -3, 0. I call it a 0 because the y is equal to 0. And then what's this one over here? Awesome. Okay. Would you go back over and graph those really quick onto your paper if you haven't already done so? Alright, so I have come back and I have graphed my vertex. So I see my axis of symmetry is at like -5.5. Do you notice that this -5.5 is right smack dab between the 2 zeros that you have? So I'm going to draw my parabola the best I can. Again, that was not hugely good. It's hard to draw it on my little smartboard here. But the best I could, there it is. Do you kind of see? You would do better on paper. So then I want to find what my 2 solutions are. So here's one at -3, and here's one at -8. And remember, the way I find my solutions is because there they are right on my x-axis. So I would like you to come down here and write down what your 2 solutions are. So I said x is equal to -3 and negative 8. All right, so there we have it. Now I would like you to go back up, pause for a second, and would you go and factor this out and see if you can make the connection. I knew that when I had my two solutions, they were negative 3 and negative 8. And if I look up here, when I factor it, I get x plus 3 times x plus 8. I wonder if there's a pattern. I bet there is. Let's go to the next slide and see what we see. All right, would you take a moment? I would like you to graph these two things and find the two solutions, and then I want you to factor it and see if you can see what is the pattern. All right, here we go. I graphed them on Desmos, and this is what I got. I got zeros at negative 2 and positive 1 on this one. And then for this one, I got zeros at positive 3, positive 7. So now I'm going to go back and factor and see if this maybe helps me to factor a little bit. X times x gives me x squared, and what multiplies to give me negative 2, but adds to give me positive 1. And so hopefully you're getting more comfortable with those, and you're like, oh, well, positive 2 times negative 1 would do that, because I have to, the bigger number has to be the positive, because the positives win. So that means x minus 1 times x plus 2. And I want to know when that equals 0. So I found the answer was positive 1 and negative 2. Then over here I saw x and x makes x squared. What multiplies to give me 21 and adds to give me 10? Well, 7 and 3. But do you see how it multiplies to give me a positive 21? Adds to give me a negative 10. So if I know that it multiplies to give me a positive, but adds to give me a negative, they both have to be negative, because if you get a positive at the end, then the signs have to be the same. So I look in here and I say, okay, 1 0 is at positive 7, 1 0 is at positive 3. All right, do you see a connection yet? Do you see a pattern that's happening between the graph and when we factor, and how maybe we don't even need to do the graph? And would you just quick over on the side, it's going to ask you to write in, how do you know once you've factored, how can you figure out what the 0 is? All right, now that you think you found a pattern, I would like you to look at 5 and 6. So x squared plus 6x minus 27 equals 0, and then x squared minus x minus 20. I would like you to try factoring them and then finding the answer from there. Now, if you need to graph it to check your answer, is that a great idea? Of course it's a great idea. You're always welcome to graph. I'm just showing you that there is a quicker way. So you try it and then come back in a moment and check. All right, hopefully you came up with number 5. The first one was x equals 3. The second one was negative 9, or negative 9 and 3. It doesn't matter which order you get them in. And then number 6, it should be negative 4 and positive 5. Do you see, really I drew an arrow this time to see if that would help. The answer for this one is positive 3. The answer for this one is negative 3. The answer for this one is negative 4. The answer for this one is positive 5. Hopefully you have seen the pattern there. I'm not telling you the pattern because I want you to find it yourself. If you're like, I'm not seeing a pattern, then would you check with your neighbor and see if they can help you out with that? All right, we're going to do just a couple more today. So graph these two. What are the solutions? How can we figure that out without graphing? So pause, graph them, and let's see what we come up with. Gosh, I feel like these ones come out a little bit weird. Was it what you expected? So if I go across and I'm trying to find my x-intercepts or my solutions, then this one, it's at 0, and what's that at? 8. And this one's at negative 5 and 0. So how could I figure that out? Well, let's check it out. This one I can't quite factor like I did the other one, but if 0 was a problem, let's try this. Is there something that I could take out of both x squared and 8x? And I would say there is. I would say that you could take out an x from both of those. And if you took out an x, what would be left? X minus 8. So now I see that the 8 comes from here, but 0. How is that? How would that one be 0? Something for you to think about. This one over here, I think basically the same thing is going to happen. So what comes out of 3x squared and 15x? Well, I think a 3 comes out of there, but what else? Also an x comes out, and I'm left with x plus 5. Would you have gotten that? And if not so, kind of check out, what did I do? How did it work? And I would find that this right here, this x is negative 5, and this one is 0. How does that work to make that happen? Well, there you go, looking for patterns. All right, last but not least, I want you to try 2 more. Oh man, x squared plus 64. Where did the middle go? What is in the middle? Ooh, could I solve that as x squared plus 0x minus 64 equals 0? Could I do this one as x squared plus 0x minus 25 equals 0? Try it, see what you get. Try to do it without graphing and see what you get. And come back to me in a moment. All right, there they are factored. This one breaks down into x plus 8, x minus 8, so that's a difference of squares. This one comes out to be x plus 5, x minus 5, because it's a difference of squares again. All right, if that's the case, what are your solutions? What's this one? That one is going to be negative 8. What's this one going to be? That one is going to be positive 8. How about this one? That's going to be negative 5. How about this one? You got it, positive 5. All right, so what have you seen today? Hopefully by now you've kind of figured out a pattern. How can you solve a quadratic equation by factoring? On your paper, I want you to just make yourself some notes about what you're going to do to be able to solve those things. Have a great afternoon.